So now you have committed yourself to what we call sila in Pali, sila, or virtue or ethical standard, which are, as some of you probably know, you're all very experienced meditators, some of you already, it's considered the foundation of our meditation practice. We don't go very far, the Buddha says to us, if our sila is not really well taken care of. By sila, we mean, our speech, our action. Sila is mostly concerned about the speech and action, but speech and action do not manifest if you don't have a mind. So it's not just speech and action, it's just the way the mind manifests when you act by body and you act by speech, right? So it's actually very useful to be reminded of that, because this is what we do all day long in our daily life, isn't it? We're not sitting on a cushion of air 24 hours a day. Most of the time we speak and we act and we interact and we respond by speech and so on. So that's very important. You can see how important this is to be considered. And those precepts, sometimes I go through them one by one, but I think I leave it to you to do that today. You can just actually use the chanting that we have. Sometime people want to know whether they can read books, and we've decided with the very friendly managers we have here that actually the chanting book will be sufficient for you to know a bit about Dhamma. I don't know what you have in your suitcase, but I bet you have probably brought quite a lot of your material with you in case you get bored. Now be careful. I just want to emphasize that this, you know this already probably better than I do, this is a very special time to have the opportunity to spend 10 days studying the self, studying the mind. It's quite, as you know, it's very special. There's a great treasure in the human life to be able to devote one's time to Dhamma and to be able to realize the Dhamma and to be able to free the heart and the mind and to live a life then that feels much more real and true and beautiful as well, So, but it's a bit of work, doesn't it? It just doesn't happen just like this. It's a training. We call it the mind training, heart training. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes place as you work at it. You work, but it's a particular kind of work. It's not the work that, it's kind of, sometimes it's counterintuitive. It's like to go fast, go slowly, that kind of teachings that you will get for 10 days. Don't worry, plenty of material. So don't go too fast. You know that. I'm not sure. I don't need to repeat the same thing. You have heard it many times. But one of the things that I want to, just continuing with the precepts, and then I will let you know something else which I'm really interested in. So consider the precepts really already now the development of compassion, right? Just in case you might not know, and I will say that right at the beginning, I might even repeat it at the end, just before you go. The Buddha there is a little sutta in the teaching of the Buddha, which I absolutely love. I found it quite a number of years ago, and I used to say, this was probably the most Mahayana sutta in the whole Theravada scriptures. Because the Buddha was saying, if when you take the 5 precepts and you have 8, so, you are even more endowed with the power of making a lot of people happy. 8 precepts, but the 5 precepts, you actually free a numberless beings, people, beings, all kind of beings. I don't know, maybe that goes into tigers and animals and plants and at least mosquitoes. You never know. We might benefit all the mosquitoes in Thailand and all the elephant here and there in India, and who don't know, and the cats as well, and so on. So we don't need to know. It's really important not to worry about that. But these 5 precepts gives to numberless, offer or give to numberless people the freedom from fear, freedom from enmity, and freedom from stress. It's actually freedom from dukkha, right? Which can be stress, dukkha, suffering, all the things that are difficult to bear in our life. Right? So sometimes translated as difficult to bear, something that which is difficult to bear with. And I'm sure you've got plenty of things that you find difficult to bear, just starting maybe with painful knees or not having the right weather, too cold, too hot, too hungry, not enough, whatever, something that's difficult to bear. And so, but that's not the end of the story. The Buddhas continue by saying, by committing oneself to the 5 precepts, you actually, not only you give other sentient beings this amount of blessings and wonderful kind of blessings, but also you yourself partake of those blessings. From freedom from fear, freedom from enmity or anger, for those foreigners who don't know what enmity means, and freedom from dukkha or stress. Now, we know we don't have to believe what the Buddha says, and he does recommend not to believe him, right? That's what we love. Many of us love the Buddhist teaching because we can really think for ourselves and experiment and explore through our practice the value and the truth and the actual reality of what he teaches. So, do you like that little sutta? I'll give you you can read it, I will bring it. It's a small thing, we can even put it on the wall if you get bored in the corridor, you can just look at it. Now, in our retreat here at Amaravati, part of the forest tradition, in the Theravada tradition, but the forest school, basically, you start practicing now. Whatever is happening now, this is your meditation practice, this is your retreat. Everything that happens during this retreat is part of your meditation. People snoring, people moving when you don't want them to move, the food, maybe you don't like it or you like it, don't get enough, too much. You feel people are selfish, you're so much more generous. Other people are miserable, you're so much happier. They're so slow in their practice, you go so much quicker. So all these things that we can, mind can conjure up. Don't worry, Mara has no, how can I say? There's no end to the creativity of Mara, right? That voice in your mind that keeps moving when it doesn't need to move. That voice that keeps popping up when it doesn't need to pop up. Mara is mostly out of sync with reality, so just make sure you listen to it carefully. Right? Never really in sync with what's happening. It's always telling you something else you should be doing. And you will see a lot of that on your cushion. I should have really stayed at home because blah, blah, blah. And maybe I should have 2 weeks retreat instead of 10. Maybe I should go on a 1 month retreat. I think that would be more ambitious for me. I could test myself properly. Possibly with just sitting without moving for 10 days, 2 weeks, 1 month. Right? This is the kind of thing that Mara is very good at. Is a perfect master of discontent. Right? You're discontented, just talk to Mara and say, I know you. And Mara can just go straight away. After 10 days, I want you to tell me that it has worked. Don't bite into Mara's stories, right? So I just want to say I'm very happy to be here myself. I'm very glad to have you for 10 days with me, practicing together. And so accepting everything, right? Everything that takes place in your day, through the day and through the night. You have the joy during this time to really pay close attention to these characteristics, those three characteristics of all phenomena, to really carefully observe how things are impermanent, to carefully observe how things do not really belong to you, and what does that mean for you. These are just words, don't belong to me. That sounds okay, but we don't know yet. Usually when we've seen clearly that things don't belong to us, then we stop suffering. Do you understand? If there is suffering, there's still, it's not you doing it, it's just the way the body-mind conditionings are constructed in a way, intercondition. Yeah? So if you suffer, if there's pain, then something to look at, because it means you are like still something in the program of your mind that think it's you, it's mine. I should have control over it. It should not be there. If I really practice carefully, I should not have this. If my mother hadn't sort of sent me to school so early, I would just be able to have more clear sight that my body and mind doesn't belong to me, but now I'm stuck with my mother's memory. So I'm just making fun of these things, but they do happen in so many multifaceted kind of form. Right? If the weather wasn't, English like that, it's better. If it wasn't raining, I probably could concentrate at last and do jhana in kind of quiet without telling anybody. So, do you have any questions? I mean, you've been already talked. People have talked to you for quite a while to explain all the ins and outs of the practicality of living here for 10 days. Do you have any question for me now? Just anything you want to know? I only speak English and French, and Thai, a bit of Thai. No? All free from doubts. That's great. Now, in this forest tradition also, there is a particular style. I mean, the forest tradition is a large schools, and so each master of the forest tradition has a slightly different take on things, so don't think there's only one way of looking at things. But certainly Ajahn Sundara is my teacher, and I love his teaching. I think it's been brilliant teachings, but it's not, it has some side of it that you don't find necessary in the books. It's experience, it's realization, and his process of enlightenment, of freeing his own mind and heart. But I find it extremely helpful for me, and I think extremely helpful probably for most of us, in the sense that to be able to see the mind as, it's not a problem. In the early days at Chetas, when I lived there with Ajahn Sundara and the monks and nuns there, you never dare even pronouncing the word problem, because you knew you were frightened just to be told, what an idiot, Of course, nobody will say that. But you got the feeling you were so deluded to think you would have a problem. Now, those of you who have problem who might be really offended by what I'm saying now, those who are convinced you have problems. Now, remember, you may have a lot of problem in your life, but please, once you come here, drop your life outside. Understand? You can carry on as a memory if you want to. It's your choice. If you want to do that, please go ahead. But it's only a memory. So can you just leave your shoes at the door? I think in the Zen tradition, they say that, just leave your shoes at the door. Any Zen practitioner here? No? Well, anyway, they have this expression, which I think is very good. And you have to go into Zen, leaving shoes at the door. You have to say that for people to believe you. Otherwise, well, I'm not going to do that. But you say Zen, immediately something can happen, It must be that must be true, Zen. And I could have another kind of, Suzuki said, or Dogen. Yeah. But you understand. So now you can make an effort, maybe, if you have to make an effort, just to not get caught up in your life outside. It will come up anyway. It doesn't need your help. It will come up. It's just the nature of the mind. Once it's relaxed and content, it will bring up all the stuff, all the washing. You know the book of John Cornfield, Jack Cornfield, after the ecstasy, the washing. Yeah, what is that? Huh? No, it's something after the ecstasy, the laundry or something like that, right? So that's what happened. The mind is really bright and open, and you say, oh, that's going to be like this forever. How wonderful. You don't really know what you're doing here, really. Do you understand? The mind, the conditioned mind, has its own program. You know, I'm going to happiness and it's going to be there forever. I'm sure. And then, of course, you get disappointed because it's anicca. It's a happy moment and then not so happy. So it's really important that you start actually getting used to the effect of anicca. Anicca means you change. It's changing all the time. So if you feel things are moving too fast, you know, you can put a brake on anicca. No, I'm just joking. Just kind of calm the mind down. Maybe your eye has said, I want to let go of so many things. I've got to kind of change. It's got to change faster. It's not changing enough. It's too slow for me. Then, this is one of the crux of the practice, is that the good news is that you are not in charge. Do you understand? You are not in charge. Awareness is in charge now. Yes, mindfulness, awareness, consciousness, knowing, the seeing mind, the knowing mind, the aware mind, the conscious mind, the mind that nobody can see and try to create a lot of things about. But at least one of the quality, you know, it can show you, it can be a mirror. Huh? You can see yourself, you can see your thought, you can see your feeling, you can see your mood, you can see your body, you can see inside your body, you can see outside, you can see, you know, we can see people with the eyes, but the awareness, when you look inside, you can actually see all this. So this is very important. And I'm not going to give this title to this retreat, but I really like the spirit of it. I did a retreat 2 years ago about just Pachupana. Pachupana, you know, people go all these fancy themes and title. I said, okay, well, I'm going to go with the flow and fashion, you know, going to have a title for my retreat. And I said, I'm going to give a title that nobody can have any memory about it. You know, a title that people have no association with in terms of concept. So I could have said here and now. It's not so much fun. I mean, Ram Dass was talking about it already in the 80s, you know, here and now. His book on, I don't know if you're of that generation. I read Ram Dass, American Ram Dass. Yeah? So Pachupana is actually here and now. You have the future, the past, and Pachupana. Yes? Anarkot and Atit first in Pali. And these are also words that the Thai language use. You know, same, very close to Pali. So, Pachupana. How many of you, I mean all of us actually, have read many books on Buddhism? We have done many retreats. I've done tons of retreats. You too, some of you have done lots of retreats. You have read the Buddhist manuals, Buddhist meditation practice books, all these kind of things. You have gone through the Abhidhamma, through the interest in the jhanas, interest in so many things. So basically you chock-a-block with knowledge. Okay? You know what to do. Now, the thing that we're not always so good at, and it's so boring to say because you're going to lose interest instantly, it's not really exciting enough, I'm going to say, it's just being present. I did a whole retreat just being present. I'm not going to teach you anything. When you go out in the future, you know. When you go out in the past, you know. Come back. You just keep, you know, it was a 10-day retreat as well. Just keep coming back. That's all you have to do. And don't worry, when you come back, you are in a realm of awareness and mindfulness. That's when you see things. That's when you see anicca. That's when you see dukkha. That's when you see no self. Do you understand? Just that much. We don't need to be conceited about what we know, what we don't know, what the teacher should know and not know. Don't worry about that. We can take care of ourselves. Each one of us can take care of ourselves. But to know the simple task of knowing when you are off into your own world, okay, and present. That's mindfulness. When you are present, it's in the here and now. Understand? Yeah, it's so simple. We forget, don't we? And then after that, I can give you some exercise about what to look at, particularly, what to put attention onto and so on. Okay? But if you want to know what to do at any time, am I present? Am I here now? Ask yourself. What's happening now? Who am I now? Maybe you find nobody. So you ask a question again and again. There's nobody responding to you. Right? Who am I? What's happening now? You may be off into, stories about what happened 20 years ago and so. Well, it's nice to know that somebody pointed out it's only a memory. So in the Dhamma, we are totally, completely devoted to the here and now. Totally, completely devoted to know that the past is gone and the future has not come. So it's like Ajahn Sundara used to say, in the practice, you're neither going forward, you're neither going backward, you're neither standing still. Now this is a good koan, isn't it? Find the answer to this. You might end up enlightened. You never know. But it's just stop your mind, doesn't it? That's what stops it. So I'm not trying to be clever with teaching of Ajahn Sundara, don't worry, but it is a good, reminder of future, past, now. Like any questions? No? And then, of course, we continue with a kind of traditional work that we do in our practice. The mindfulness of breathing or mindful development of your meditation practice at the level of using skillful means and tools and so on, that can help you to calm the mind down and also to enable you to be patient with your mind. And maybe I say one more thing because it's a good trick, really. It's a good tip. Because maybe you know it already. I don't know. But today I had two people coming to me and talking about their difficulties. Maybe I am going to backtrack a little bit because I've left you dangling with the problem thing, right? Let me backtrack a little bit. There is no problem from my teacher's point of view. Of course, there's tons of problem, but we live with. You train your mind. There's no problem, only opportunities. So, what it means is that wake up. Wake up, And then you bring a different kind of mind to life, to everything. Going to the loo, having an argument with somebody, thinking about the future, and my God, I'm going to end up in a wherever. Just wake up. It's hard training. This is a training. Do you understand? This is a training. It's not just floating on a beach somewhere. And having, calm and peaceful mind and sort of feeling great and groovy. That can happen too. But a lot of the thing is like training. It's like, the mind wants to go somewhere, training back in the present. The mind is creating a problem. No, hang on a minute. What is that? Who is creating the problem? Who is creating the problem? And when we bring awareness, life changes quite radically, Okay. So, I'm not saying you should not say problem, don't worry. It's okay to say problem. But start using the word opportunity and challenge instead of problem. It's more exciting. A problem is like a burden. A challenge and an opportunity, you expand your mind. Do you understand? Yes? No? Probably you're too tired to hear all that. I'm kind of preparing the ground for tomorrow. So you have more wake up you are, the more you can sleep quite well. Even if you don't sleep, even if you don't, the body doesn't go to sleep. Don't worry, the mind. If the mind doesn't go to sleep, the body can rest. And then the last thing is that the paradoxes of our practice are huge. And one of the things is that I was explaining to someone this morning that how many people get stuck in this dilemma of thinking that if they have a quote-unquote a problem, they have to deal like this. I give you the example, I am terribly impatient. I have no patience whatsoever. No patience whatsoever. So people think they have to start working on patience, like to become somebody who is patient. Yes, of course, that will be a good idea. It will be a good thing to be more patient. But there is even a more magical way of being patient, because it's a transformative way that goes very deep. It's like you can become patient by paying attention to your impatient mind. Welcome all the situation that makes you impatient. That's when you can start letting go of it. Do you understand? That's how you begin to clear the path of this tendency to be impatient. That's a real practice. Okay? Not the practice of plastering your impatience with the teaching of the Buddha, kind of covering up impatience, because maybe we don't know what to do with it. But now you can use all your kilesa. Kilesa, the word kilesa? Well, it's Sri Lankan. You're born with you're born after 3 months, you know about kilesa in Sri Lanka. I know the sutta already. But 3 years almost. Isn't it true? Yes, I know. We're just like beginners, really. Us Westerners. But so, do you understand? When you're greedy and you say, I'm so greedy, I'm so horribly greedy, I want to eat all the time. Prefer cakes. If you're like me. I'm off cakes at the moment, so don't tempt me too much. And so, do you know what to do? That's a higher training. That's a higher training. I'm giving you a higher training, not just a beginner's training, higher, you're more professional. It's like, be with your greed until it's gone, Don't act on it. That's all. Just don't give you a chance to be reborn into something. I mean, not for too long, you can have a break as a respite. But from time to time, if you really want to let go of greed, you have to feel the greed and see that it's also anicca. I'm not saying the rest of your life, just a little bit, just sampled. In your mind. The same applies to everything. That's what the path is about. That's what monks and nuns do here. We're not just sitting on a pink-clad cushion levitating on fourth jhana. Sometimes we do have nice concentration, nice peaceful mind, right? But a lot of it is actually, the clearing the path is about seeing the mind and not acting on it. Yeah? So it's a bit late